Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you join me for episode 40 of Solar Civilization, and we are at Moon Base 1, and a disturbing signal has been picked up passing over the base. It's some kind of artificial satellite that we have not put there. It appears to be trying to read signals from the base, or something to that effect. So basically, we're trying to get kind of a name on it, so I'm hoping if it gets closer I'll get a name, but I can't find its name. So the only logical course of action is obviously to destroy it because it's clearly a spy satellite trying to pick up on our plans and stuff. I don't know. I just want to blow something up. So this is my modified Triton 1, the Triton 1.4, and inside that comically large fairing is my newest fighter. Um, this is probably the fighter that I'm gonna be sending out to Duna because with all these, well, this is like the third spy satellite now, and we're a little worried that someone has something malicious planned. So we're sending a few fighters out there. So this is kind of my plan for one. It's quite wide, so it needs a rather big fairing, but I have some plans for that in the future. But yeah, this is a pretty light payload, so I can justify using the space launch system, or the Odin, whatever you want to call it. Um, which is a shame because I prefer that. Although it is reusable, so I don't know. Um, but this is also reusable, so I might as well try using this. The problem is the first stage. Um, I have to get into orbit before the first stage gets below about 30 kilometers, or it just deletes. So yeah, that is the main problem with the rockets like this, because obviously in real life you can control them at the same time, but not in KSP. Anyway, we've ditched those fairings, and now you can kind of see the fighter. It's got little kind of little pieces of metal around the side, which I guess you'd call armor, and it's named Scorpion 1. So yeah, I'll talk through that a little more, but in the future. But right now we've got to deorbit this second stage, as we did lose the first stage, but I wasn't going to go, well, there's nothing I could do it, drop below a certain altitude. So, I mean, this is sometimes easy to reuse. I mean, we could assume that if there was another, team, they would have landed that, because we know it's kind of capable of landing, or should know at least. But yeah, that is a problem. So I'm just going to bring this back, and hopefully this will land, because it's quite a decent upper stage and has a lot of fuel left, because it was a pretty light payload. I think it was like 12 tons or something. And this is like a 22-ton launch vehicle, something to that effect. Um, so yeah, I'm just trying to get it as close to the KSC as possible. But it's not really. Well, you can fly it because it's got variable mass. But it's difficult to do that. And we did lose those landing legs because those burn off quite at quite low temperatures. Well, no, quite, yeah, relatively low temperatures. So yeah, this is. But I reckon I can land it on the engines. I mean, I landed a space launch system on its engines in the last episode. So yeah, this is using the translatron. I've left this at 4 times time accelerated until just before the landing, so you can see how crazy the throttle needle goes. Well, not anymore, but it was. Um, but yeah, slowing down to 1 times time accelerate, we land quite nicely, or it looks like we're going to at least. Going at 1 meter per second, and touchdown. And that stands up on its engine. So maybe I don't even really need landing legs, because they just keep burning off. But anyway, we'll recover that and go back to space with the Scorpion. On the back of the Scorpions, it's transfer stage, which is dockable, so it's just basically its transfer stage, so that it doesn't have to carry too much fuel. And it will be taking it to and from the moon, but then the plan for this is that it will rendezvous with a fuel station I put in orbit a while ago. Um, but it will do that with its own fuel when it gets back to Kerbin from the moon. Yeah, so Phil in Kerbin is our pilot. We have various people training. We have people on the DKMV, the kind of new deep space vehicle. We have people on the moon base. We have people in the station, and we have people in other planets, all training for long duration missions, really. Although some of them actually are on long duration missions. Anyway, I need to disable this crossfeed and put the fuel back in the main tank of this fighter. But I forgot to put the fuel in those other little tanks, which I will do later. But I will cut through that because it was tedious and made me want to break things. I don't know. But anyway, we're getting close to the moon now, and wonderful. Yeah, we just need to rendezvous with this satellite and put it out of action. Yeah, there we go. It's called MOS. We assume it means the Moon Observation Satellite. So yeah, we want to deal with that. and get an intersect. So I'll just you know, perform all the usual maneuvers, plane changes, and then move my trajectory. I'll do a retrograde burn, so I'm moving faster than the target, so that my so that I catch up with it because I'm behind in my orbit. So yeah, in 2 orbits I will rendezvous quite closely with it, which is quite nice. Um, so yeah, this fighter has just some simple weapons. It has a 250 caliber turrets, although those are both dual turrets, so it technically has 4 turrets, so that they can like articulate and break and blow stuff up quite easily. So yeah, it also carries it carries 2,400 rounds, so it can be in multiple fights. It also, you can see the kind of scorpion pincer like well, they're not really scorpion pincer like, but they kind of come around almost like a scorpion. That little bit of armor which carries all of its things as well. It has its RCS on it. It has its there's some solar panels on it. Carries some of the fuel, the ammo. Basically, that's just protects the vital stuff from the side, but from the top, it's pretty vulnerable. So yeah, it's of dubious well, you know, dubious usability in terms of armor, but I like how it looks, and it's nice to have a little bit of, you know, a little bit of protection. And it will later, when you see it on its kind of vessel for going to Dune, it'll make more sense why it has armor like that. It just protects it more when it's docked than anything else. But yeah, so this is my light fighter, which can move from. I reckon this could, if it didn't have to rendezvous with a station at the end, it could go to the moon and back without a transfer stage. But I decided to be safe. And anyway, Philin is moving in on Moss, and we will slow down into 1 times time accelerate to watch the action. We're a little far out, so we can't really see what it is, but we've intercepted some signals, let's say. Oh, and it blows up nicely. We've intercepted some signals, and it looks like it's pretty primitive hardware. And now it's even more primitive in that it's dead. It appears I've blown off. I'm pretty sure I blew off some panels there, but it's kind of hard to tell because I'm quite far out. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to fire, but these aren't brilliantly accurate, annoyingly, which is a shame. Because it would be nice to be able to, you know, hit it much more effectively. But we did get a pretty good blow on it, but it looks like it's still alive, so let's get closer to it and try and, you know, take it out. But yeah, trying to hit it from here, it's not brilliantly effective. So well, yeah, hopefully I'll be hitting bigger targets if I have to fight anything on Duna. Although the only other real military things out there, hopefully, will just be these spacecraft. So hopefully they won't be fighting each other. Anyway, yeah, you can see there's some little panels there, and you can see there's some antennas. It's still quite far away and now covered by reticule. But yeah, it looked like it had some antennas and batteries, basically. And now let's just get rid of this thing. Yeah, it appeared to be using some pretty old hardware, like one of those big round probe cores, and like some of these, I don't know, some of these B9 triangular parts. You know, but we didn't get really close enough to see. Anyway, on the bottom you can see there's a weapon manager, so that well, that actually allows you to kind of fight with other ships. Anyway, let's get filling out and take a look at some of this debris. Uh, yeah, it just looks like all that's left is kind of structural panels, which are obviously, well, it might not be particularly bulletproof because, well, it was actually designed with a little gap in between because obviously it wasn't designed to be armored. But yeah, these survived pretty well. Maybe we should use these as armor. Although um, we already have our fighter there, but maybe I could improve it, add some armored type things. But you know, I want to be putting more work into, you know, getting science and creating death machines. But you know, we'll see what happens. Anyway, so let's get Philin back in his spacecraft and go back to the transfer vehicle to go home. There's not really much more he can do by visually inspecting the debris, but we do know that they will not be spying on our well, whoever that is will not be spying on our moon base anymore, and hopefully well, hopefully there'll be nothing like that around Duna, because we've had a few spy satellites now. We had that original one, I think, quite a while back, where I took a plane armed without BD armory stuff and yeah, did some damage to that and then destroyed the plane. And I do take a few last kind of shots at it in the hope that I'll hit it, but they're too small to hit with these kind of pretty inaccurate weapons. But yeah, so that's good because oh yeah, and we had that other spy satellite around Kerbin which I destroyed with an SSTO with a big old Gatling gun on it. But yeah, Anyway, this needs to head back to Kerbin now, because I have very little life support on this. I think the ones that go out to Duna will have more life support, because they may have to go on long duration missions for whatever reason. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna go back to Kerbin. We're gonna ditch the transfer stage in the atmosphere, and then this is going to rendezvous with what do we run? Yeah, with the fuel station that I put up a while ago that I haven't really used. I'm just gonna quick save and quick load there, because there's that little bit of fairing on the docking port, and I just kind of want to get rid of that. And now it should have disappeared. Oh my god, there you go. Now it's loading. That's annoying. Usually Bandicam doesn't even record those kind of loading things because there's no like frames changing, and that makes it really annoying to sync. But now when I don't have a syncing issue because this is post commentary, then it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Anyhow, so yeah, we just need to dock with this, and I'm coming in and kind of weirdly. I should have planned this a little better. Um, but yeah, so I'll just kind of slide underneath it and grab that docking port. The transfer stage uses that little Vestra engine I use all the time. It's the KW one. It has about 120, provides 120 kilonewtons of thrust, and has an ISP of I think 400. So it's a very good engine actually. It's actually used on my old Duna spacecraft, which is still in orbit around Duna. Will be coming home soon actually. Um, the first interplanetary spacecraft, it was before I had a nuclear engine, so I had to use these engines. Which give a little more thrust, but about half the ISP of nuclear engines, so it's not fantastic. But I think they have a much better thrust to weight ratio. Well, they definitely have a much better thrust to weight ratio. So, efficient in some ways, but not in others. Um, but yeah, it does actually appear that this little thing's rotating, which is a little annoying. I don't really know why. Maybe I knocked it, or maybe actually maybe some debris flew off the spy satellite and knocked it. That would be interesting. Um, but yeah, well, I probably could have checked the report, but I didn't. And I don't think it registers collisions for other debris, so that's a shame. But anyway, let's just dock with this and then go home. But it is going to be difficult, as I say. I'm going to have to kind of almost orbit it because it's rotating, and then move in slowly on that docking port. Not the most difficult docking I've performed of late. Well, actually, I didn't perform it, but in my latest, not my latest, the latest collab video I recorded, which won't be up for a while because we recorded a bunch because we're not going to be around. Because me and actually, the first collab video will have probably gone up today on the day of this upload, because I'm going to upload them together because I have scheduling issues. But yeah, basically in the latest collab KSP thing where I recorded, it was a pretty ridiculous docking. I flew a space plane up to this station that Matt put up in orbit, and then forgot that I didn't have any RCS on the plane. So he came over and grabbed the plane with the Orion, and then moved it over towards the station, and then he moved the station to dock with the plane. But anyway, enough anecdotes. We have docked with this transfer stage, and I do need to put the fuel out. Pick the fuel out of the transfer stage and put it back into the fighter now, because because I need to ditch this stage in the atmosphere at some point. But I will skip through it because it was rather tedious going through all of these tanks, and does transfer fuel rather slowly. And then we'll be into 4 times time accelerate because because heading home has been seen many a time. But I like to leave like new interesting-ish things at a lower time just at normal speed, so you can kind of see it play by play. Although this wasn't a brilliantly crazy battle. But yeah, anyway, skipping ahead, we've refueled that spacecraft, and it's time to go home. So just coming around to the kind of the front of the moon, and making a rough burn, pointing prograde, of course, but the engine on the transfer stage is pointing in the opposite direction. So I actually deorbited there. Luckily, I did notice, or I would have died horribly. And that would be rather terrible. So yeah, it's we've got a pretty good periaps, although I do need to drop it within the atmosphere because it'll only take about 800 meters per second delta V to slow down to where I need to be, and the fighter has I think about 1200 meters per second. Oh no, 1800 what does that say? 1600 meters per second? I don't know. A certain amount of meters per second delta V, I think around 1600. so it will be fine. Or it might say 1200. I don't know, my post-render screen's terrible. I've kind of forgotten. Anyway, yeah, anyway, we're here. It's time to just kind of slow down and hopefully get an insect. Something's flying past me. I think it was some Morpheus 5 debris. I keep getting pretty close to debris these days. I'm getting kind of a Kessler syndrome going, which I would say is a problem, but it would make a rather wonderful, well, not a wonderful video, but a really interesting video if I, well, you know, got taken out by some debris. Anyway, I've lost my intersect marker, which is going to make it difficult, so I'm just going to play around with this maneuver node and hopefully get close to the station. And this wasn't actually a very particularly fun rendezvous because, well, because I'd overburned or underburned or something. Basically, I should have left it and slowed down more when I got to the station, and it would have been more fuel efficient. But there's a lot of fuel on the station. Although when this guy actually gets to the station, there's no ship to bring him home. But I'm thinking, given that he's now an experienced fighter pilot and rather experienced astronaut, that he might just be going out to Duna. And the Duna transport window's not that far away, so he could just be picked up from the station by, like, I don't know, like an Orion. I don't have an Orion spacecraft, something like the Orion spacecraft, just to move him between. So yeah, maybe. Anyway, I'm just making little corrections to try and get as close as possible on, I think, in 2 orbits or something. So yeah, anyway, I have my intersect. I get pretty close. And that will be in a few orbits' time. But yeah, as I say, there's no vehicle at the fuel station, and we're not taking a fighter to the scientific station, because they do science on that station, and we don't want military there, because, well, that would kind of spoil the niceness of the station. Anyway, I'm running low on life support, so hopefully I'll get there relatively soon. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to be fine. And yeah, there's the station 6 kilometers out. I actually have been wanting to watch this because something goes wrong. Yeah, I just slow down completely. I slowed down too much too soon, and I think as I approached, my speed became relatively similar with the station. So now I actually start moving in quite aggressively because, well, because I wanted to get there fast because I've been recording for quite a while. And I have a lot of fuel, and there's a lot of fuel on the station. I don't know what I'm going to do with this fighter, if I'm actually going to bring this fighter out to Duna, or if I'm just going to leave this as kind of like defensive Kerbin, I guess, which, yeah, wouldn't be a terrible idea. It would save me a rocket, well, if I send up, if there's another threat, then I won't have to send up another one, but it will mean I'll have to send up another one for the Duna spacecraft, but, I can send up a bunch on the Space Launch System. Anyway, it's time to dock with this station and put him in safety. Well, I imagine the real Space Launch System won't be used for moving large amounts of fighter spacecraft around, just the Orion. Actually, not just the Orion, there's also the, goddamn, it's one of the moons of, I think, Jupiter, a probe to go there. It's the, I don't know, I've completely forgotten the name of the moon it's going to, which sucks. It's the something Clipper, and it will just kind of skim the surface of, I think, a moon or something, and one of the moons of Jupiter, and do something, find out if there could be possibly life there, which could be launched on the Space Launch System, because then they won't have to do a Mars gravity sling, so it will be much quicker, which would be nice. Anyway. Enough of all that military stuff. It's time to bring this spacecraft home. This is my DKMV, which was launched maybe 2 episodes ago now. Or maybe 1, I don't really remember. But yeah, it's the new kind of multi-purpose spacecraft which can go to low Kerbin orbit, the moon, Minmus, or even Duna, if need be, because it has habitation there on that service module, which and the service and habitation module, which I just detached. It does have a little habitation module, and it is for 3 Kerbals, even though it could fit 7. But if you're going from, but it can only safely return 3 to Kerbin, and if you're going from Duna to Kerbin, or Kerbin to Duna, you don't want 7 in there. It would be much nicer if you have 3 with space for 7, because then they can all have lots of space. Anyway, we start to feel the effects of deadly re-entry, and we can see the service module exploding. I think that was probably at about 16 times time accelerate, simply because I was in 4 times time accelerate in the game. Plus, oh no, this is all at normal speed, so that was 4 times time accelerate. Anyway, it's time to time warp down, because, well, it's just a fairly standard re-entry. Although it is going fast, I think it's probably my fastest re-entry so far, but it's basically just testing if this is possible, which will be important because the Duna spacecraft will be returning home relatively soon, so we want to know that that can get home, you know, in one piece. Well, it'll come home in multiple pieces, but as long as the pod stays in one piece. And I accidentally leave it in 4 times time accelerate when I decouple the shield, which kind of messes up everything. But it's fine because I just pull the chutes and get stabilized. Although I am spinning quite a bit, and I'm just waiting for it to for the parachutes to pull. And I don't really know where it's going to be because I'm on the mountains, so it would be, and I don't have just the standard UI in here. I have the raster prop monitors because B9 installs them for you, which is nice. I like raster prop, and I still am yet to. Damn, I'm yet to do a docking with raster prop monitors, which it has like a docking cam. Anyway, we're coming down quite fast now, but then the parachutes pull and everything is fine. So we have to land in kind of what looks like desert mountains. And I might as well check if I can grab any science from the surface because well, I'm not going to say no to science. I haven't done any science in a little while. It's because I've been trying to do a lot of science on the moon with the moon base, but there's been many problems with that. But hopefully that'll be all fixed up in future episodes. So anyway, let's get one of these Kerbals out to do a bit of science. See if there's any reports to be gained, and there is. Apparently I haven't gained science from the mountains yet. So there's our EVA report while flying. I guess that's flying, and EVA report from the mountains and a surface sample. So that's a little bit more science towards our giant B9 spaceships. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been KSP with Tape. I will see you next time.